Arsenal finally flashing the cash. Luis Suarez to the Camp Nou, but who are the real winners, Liverpool or Barcelona? And how will Louis van Gaal fare at Manchester United? Joining me today are international football writer Peter Staunton and Goal UK chief editor Sam Lyon. I'm Aidan Magee and this is Transfer Talk. Okay, we'll start with a huge deal, Luis Suarez from Liverpool to Barcelona. First of all, I can come to you, Pete. Big money, is it worth it for Barcelona? How do you see him fitting in?
Well, we're not going to know how he's going to fit in at Barcelona, at least until October, because he's going to be suspended until then. By the time, the time comes around for him to get into the first team, he'll probably play alongside Neymar, who's currently injured, and of course Lionel Messi. Now, Messi's a focal point of that attack, and he always will be at Barcelona. Many other superstar signings have gone up front with Barca before, and they've not thrived in the presence of Messi. They've had to play a supporting role. So straight away, Suarez is going to have to buy into that philosophy, and he's going to be rotated around the attack between that central position and the right, probably as Messi fancies.
Okay, so that's Barcelona's angle. What about Liverpool's angle, Sam? Is it good business from their point of view? I have to say it's not. I mean, I think for a player who scored as many goals as Luis Suarez did, 31 last season, he's not just a goal scorer, he's also an assist maker. The whole team focused around Luis Suarez last season. I think he made them what they were, which was title contenders. I said the same when Gareth Bale left Tottenham for Real Madrid. I think it was a loss then for Tottenham that was going to be hard to recover from. I think the same will be said of Liverpool. I think it's a massive amount of money, deservedly so for a fantastic player, but quite simply, how do you replace Luis Suarez? I personally don't think Liverpool can. Cesc Fabregas has joined Chelsea, we know about that was one of the early deals before the World Cup. What can he offer Chelsea, do you feel? Well,
for me, I think he is going to bring that element of creativity that perhaps Chelsea lacked last season. He was the second highest assist maker in La Liga last season for Barcelona behind Angel Di Maria, and that's exactly what Jose Mourinho is going to hope that he can bring Chelsea. We suspect that he's going to play him in the number 10 role, which I think is what he's most suited to in latter years. He's going to provide a creative spark, and exactly, with the players that Chelsea have brought in, exactly what his role will be to feed the goals, and I think that's where he's going to fit in quite nicely.
But Pete, it didn't really work out as he'd have hoped at Barcelona, given that he came through the system there. Now, Chelsea have similar ambitions to Barcelona season on season. How's he going to lift his game?
Yeah, in one sense, he can be viewed very much as a Barcelona cast-off, as good a player as he is. But the simple matter of fact is that it didn't work out for him at Barcelona. He won one title. They were usurped by Real Madrid. They were usurped by Atletico Madrid then last season. And all the time, his productivity dipped too. He wasn't good enough in the first instance to get into the team ahead of Xavi and Sergio Busquets and even Thiago Alcantara before he went to Bayern Munich. So he was fielded then as sort of a second striker. His goal-scoring output was pretty good for the first half of the seasons, as Barcelona themselves noted in their farewell note.
Yeah, why did they do that?
It struck me a little bit sour grapes, and here's a player who's given his all for the club for the last 3 seasons, but I still think that the initial way that he left the club as a teenager probably rankles still with them, and I don't think they got the performances that they expected from him. There are those guys at Barcelona, like your Xavis, your Busquets, your Iniestas, who knuckle down and get the job done. Very, very good professionals, but I don't think Fabregas really fitted into the philosophy at the club by the time he came back in his mid-20s.
Chelsea are, though, spending big. This is a question to both of you. How do you think they'll fare? We've seen Costa, Felipe, Zuma coming in. I mean, will they be even higher this year? I mean, they did well against the top 2 last season, won all 4 games, but it's obviously the performances against the teams lower down.
Well, for me, I think Jose Mourinho has bought fantastically well. What they needed most of all, I think, was that lead striker. Diego Costa's been brought in at great expense, but he alone scored more goals last season than Chelsea's 3 strikers combined, and that's what Jose Mourinho was looking for, was a killer edge. I think, like I say, with Fabregas feeding him and Diego Costa slotting in the goals when he's fully fit, as he wasn't at the World Cup, I think it's a winning combination for Chelsea. I think they're incredibly strong.
And Pete?
Yeah, I mean, Diego Costa fits the bill precisely for a Jose Mourinho striker, and he thrived in what was a counter-attacking system for Atletico Madrid last season. They defended quite stoutly, and then when they could, they broke quickly, got the ball to Costa, he held it up, won free kicks and finished chances on the break. And if he can do that again for Chelsea, then he's going to score maybe 15, 20 goals and help Chelsea get right back up there to challenge for the league next season.
And again, a question to both of you. Do you make them title favourites at this stage? We're still a few weeks to go into the start of the season.
For me, I don't have them title favourites. I still have Manchester City favourites for the title, and probably Manchester United just beneath them with Louis van Gaal and what he can do at Old Trafford. I think that will count for an awful lot. But Chelsea last season, with a transitional team, it must be remembered. They did very, very well to stay in the title race and in the Champions League race for so long. Now Jose Mourinho's got his own players into the squad. He's got rid of some of the dead wood, and I'd fully expect Chelsea to run the two Manchester clubs very, very close to the title.
And Sam?
Simple for me. I think they are title favourites. I think they came very close last season. As Peter says, it was a transitional one. Jose had just taken over. He started to get his philosophy working, certainly towards the back end of the season. They've bought spectacularly well for my money. I think they're absolutely title favourites.
So Pete, you mentioned Manchester United as title contenders. A lot of people would consider that quite fanciful given where they finished last season, but they have signed two players.
They have signed two players. Luke Shaw gives them something that they didn't have last season, and that is renewed energy in the left-back position. And working with a manager like Van Gaal, he should improve. Van Gaal has shown at the World Cup and all throughout his career he's got no trouble throwing the young guys in. And if they want to learn under Louis van Gaal, he's got a lot to teach them. Ander Herrera as well, excellent player, and his impact for Athletic Bilbao, it's not something that can be measured simply through stats. He's the kind of guy who can control the tempo of a game from the centre-backs up to the centre-forward. And if United can get firing and get the ball going through him up to that fearsome strike line as it is, been led by Robin van Persie, then they're going to have a chance in matches.
If we can touch on some of the other title contenders, Arsenal, we talk about them every year. They're finally spending big, it seems. Alexis Sanchez, how good a buy is he, Pete?
A fantastic buy. I think he's going to prove to be probably the best buy that any Premier League has in this summer's transfer window. He's a really versatile attacker, can play up front, can play out wide. He's got plenty of skill, plenty of trickery, great finishing ability, lethal pace. And for me, he's Arsene Wenger's dream attacker. And if he can stay fit all throughout the season, then Arsenal are definitely going to be thereabouts.
And a word, Sam, on Manchester City, the Premier League champions, lest we forget. They're going about the business quietly, as they did last season. You expect them to be strong?
I do expect them to be strong. I mean, Pellegrini obviously led them to the title last season against many people's expectations, I suspect. I think he's going to be more settled this season. He's going to have a stronger squad. They've brought in Fernando, for example, in the centre of midfield. I think he's going to have a big role to play, certainly alongside his compatriot, a near namesake Fernandinho. But obviously, I think the key thing for Manchester City is going to be keeping Sergio Aguero fit. A phenomenal player by anyone's money. He misses a lot of games through injury. He's obviously very injury prone. If they can solve that, if they can keep him fit, Manchester City will be absolutely up there.
And financial fair play, do you expect that to impact on them?
Well, it will. I mean, obviously they've already been hamstrung to a certain degree. They have to keep their spending within a certain limit. Certainly when it comes to the Champions League as well, they have to limit the number of foreign players they can field or certainly name as part of their Champions League squad. So that's going to hamstring them in the transfer market, certainly. But they have great provisions, within the youth setup as well. I know they're very excited about that in-house. So I actually expect them to do great things on the field despite those restrictions.
Pete, talk to me about James Rodriguez. We saw him in the World Cup. You indeed saw him at close quarters. What kind of impact can we expect him to make at Real Madrid?
If he can get into the team right at the beginning, then he can hit the ground running. That Real Madrid strike line at the moment looks very, very fearsome. You're going to have Cristiano Ronaldo one side, Gareth Bale the other, Karim Benzema up front and James Rodriguez in behind. Certainly not a lot of teams in the Champions League can match that sort of firepower. And Rodriguez, he's the man of the moment, really. 6 goals, 3 Man of the Match awards, 2 assists at the World Cup, 3 wonderful goals, all of which could have been considered a contender for the goal of the tournament in their own right, have really just put this guy on the map and made Florentino Perez consider his Galactico strategy once again. They've paid 88 million or so for Rodriguez. And, for the next 5-6 years, once Cristiano Ronaldo starts to go on the way, and as he naturally will, then James Rodriguez could really become that flagship player that Real Madrid so desperately crave in their squad.
OK, thanks, guys. And if you have a view on any of the transfers we've spoken about, remember, you can leave your comments below and catch all the other transfer gossip on Goal.